Welcome into Rounding the Bases, the podcast about culture and leadership with a baseball twist, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hashtag no stopping you. Enterprise Bank and Trust was founded by entrepreneurs with the core focus of serving privately owned, small and medium-sized businesses who have a story to tell. Enterprise Bank's commitment is to listen, learn, and guide clients to a lifetime of financial success. Enterprise Bank, together, there's no stopping you. I'm Joel Goldberg, coming to you from the Kansas City Audiovisual Studios. They create engaging spaces. Check them out at kcav.com. Just give them a call or go to the website. Check in with my friend Alan Landever. He will hook you up, whatever needs that you might have. I know that he took care of my buddy Dan Smith on something at some point, and I met Dan through an organization that he runs, Dan and Sharon. They do the Porterhouse. And I spoke in the middle of this pandemic to the Porterhouse, a group of entrepreneurs, and I had the chance virtually to speak to them. And I remember that on that call, I was really amazed at the story of two sisters. I'm amazed at any time you have siblings or family members that can work together, because I don't really know how that would work. No offense to my brother. I don't think he's watching or listening right now. If he is, sure, we could start a business together. Why not? I think he would tell you that we couldn't. But LaNesha Frazier and La'Nae Robinson, along with having their own careers, which we can talk about, started a business together. And by the way, it's a business that will enable me to promote my book. So that's not why I had them on, but small ball, big results can be purchased through Bliss Books and Wine. The owners of Bliss Books and Wine are the sister combination of LaNesha Frazier and La'Nae Robinson. And I'm going to see if I can get them both up on the screen right now. Here they are. One from out in Virginia, one from here in Kansas City. Ladies, how are you both?
We're doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Well, you know that I've been trying to track you two down for a while, which isn't easy to do because of scheduling, really. I mean, you both are in different locations, which is amazing that you're also trying to run a business from different locations. You both have careers, you both have commitments, family, all that type of stuff. So I want to begin with this. If I remember correctly, because this will matter of who gets to talk first. Who's older, LaNesha? No,
LaNae.
I forget.
I am.
La'Nae's older. See,
Yes.
And you're not twins, which I think some people probably sometimes wonder. La'Nae's older. I asked that because it means La'Nae gets to go first. What is it like to what and we'll talk about the why and why you started this and all that, but what is it like to be in business with your sister?
It's interesting. I get to boss her around, which is what I have been doing all of our lives. And then when she doesn't do what I wanted to do, I can threaten to tell our parents. My mom really gets
True statement.
Some things probably never change.
It will never change.
LaNesha, you both have careers, and I know that you're in different locations. La'Nae's out in Virginia, IT world, LaNesha, physical therapy. So how did you two decide, you know what, we want to go into business and start a bookstore?
Well, it kind of plays into that bossy role that she had mentioned earlier. And so this was kind of like my dream baby. So I've been dreaming about Bliss Books and Wine for a while now, a couple years. And so it kind of came about when I was reading a book over lunch. And so I was into this chapter, and then I had to stop and go back to work. And I was like really upset because it was really, really good. And I was just like, I knew that once I got home, second job was going to kick in. I'm a mother of two, I'm a wife and all this. And so I wasn't going to have enough time to really get back into this book. And so I started to try to figure out, where can I go, like after work or during the day or sometime like that I can sit back, finish this chapter, decompress while having a glass of wine. And I couldn't find anything. I couldn't figure anything out. So I kind of was bouncing ideas back and forth. Me and my husband was talking, and I was just like, well, you have cigar lounges, you have sports bars, you have all these places as a guy that you can go and do these things and decompress. I said, but there's nowhere for someone like me to go that wants to just sit and read a book. You know, I can't read in a sports bar. I can't read in a cigars lounge. You can't drink in a library. So that was out. So I started bouncing these ideas around, and I talked to my big sis, and I was just like, hey, this is my idea. And she was like, great, let's do it. What's your next step? And I was just like, wait, huh? And she was like, here it is. This is what we're doing. Do it. And I was just like, oh, okay. So, and thus Bliss Books and Wine was created. So I gave her my idea. She actually named it. She was like, oh, it sounds like bliss. And I was like, oh. And that's where we are. So
it's awesome. And I know, I think one of the things to me that I love about this is that one, it's the true entrepreneurial story, and now a family story involving entrepreneurship. But at the same time, and I don't know if it's proper to call it a side hustle. Like, I'm always a little bit, maybe not offended, but always like, wait a minute, my speaking business isn't a side hustle. I put a lot into that. I just happen to be putting a lot into both careers at this point. Mm-hmm. So LaNae, what is that like too? Because, you know, you both have mom responsibilities and family responsibilities. And oh, by the way, you've got those day jobs, but then there's also this element to it too. So where does that fall into the kind of the priorities every single day?
It never ends. I'm at work during the day. Because of the pandemic, the kids are here. So I'm part-time teacher, part-time tech support, the lunch lady. I'm hoping they come down now to eat. And then I'm trying to juggle my business and build up my business in between and all hours of the night. And my husband is constantly telling me to go to bed. And I'm like, no, I have to order. I have inventory. I have things to send out. So it's never ending, but putting in the time for your dreams, something that you want to grow and to prosper and to leave a legacy for your children, it makes the long hours worth it.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep all the balls in the air.
I know. Well, you know, I think that I can speak to this, and I'm not the only one, but I understand it, because what I constantly tell people is there aren't enough hours of the day, and I'm still trying to figure out if there's a way to lobby someone or something, or maybe this is higher powers to figure out if we can extend the 24 hours to something more. And there just aren't, you know, we all know the answer to that.
Right.
And so it becomes, LaNesha, a matter of prioritizing. And that's hard to do because you still have clients to take care of, right? I mean, you still have your world in terms of physical therapy. Your family has to fall on top of that list. And unfortunately, that sometimes can slip a little bit, because we are, I sense the same with both of you, so laser focused on pushing forward. But yet sometimes that can be counterproductive. And I'm sure that you deal with that on an everyday basis, both of you, LaNesha, that, you know, where do you put your time into?
It is that balance. I'm still trying to figure that out. So LaNae can be at home, and so a lot of this falls on her right now with the pandemic, and especially since we had to pivot and do everything online. So she's at home, and so she's available to the computer a lot more than I am. I am at the clinic, and so I am interacting with people all the time. So I don't get the opportunity to do a lot of things online and things along that nature. So a lot of that does fall onto my partner. I love you so much. But it is hard. So when I get home, then I want to try to pick up the slack, right? Because she's been dealing with both of her jobs all day. But I also have to now put on mom hat and wife hat and business hat and health hat and all of these other things on top of that. And so finding the balance is really, really tricky. We have a great support system. And so our families are very understanding, which is great. And we kind of roped them into the business anyway. So they're just like, oh, okay, how many books are we selling today? Type of thing. And so my 7-year-old cheers every time I get an order. Yay, we got an order. So it is about a balance. I just read a quote on Facebook, and I'm just going to paraphrase because it was LaNae mentioned about a lot of balls in the air, and they was saying basically the perfect balance or how to prioritize is realizing which one of those balls are plastic.
Mm.
And I was just like, yeah, it's plastic. It could drop. It's okay if it hits the ground sometimes. And so trying to find that balance on which one is glass, which one is plastic, and just prioritize that way. So I'm learning. I'm trying.
That's profound, by the way, and one that works very well in the sports contexts of this show too. I mean, which one do you have to make sure doesn't drop because it's shattering all over the place? And we do, as entrepreneurs, we deal with that every single day. Not just entrepreneurs. I mean, I think everybody in life, and certainly leaders that are in such high demand, and having to say no and having to pick what you want to do. I want to go back for the two of you as well, because you don't open up a bookstore without having a true love of reading. I guess I would say that you don't open up a store called Books and Wine without a love of both books and wine. Right. And there's something special to me about that bookstore environment. Which we could talk about the fact that everything's virtual right now, but I know that LaNae, you guys were trying and are doing, even at virtual, to create a community, right? To create a relaxing, I think that's a word that I see a lot on your website, a relaxing place. How much was the love of reading something that was a part of your life? How much is it now? Which, by the way, we're all so busy that can be a challenge. But growing up, where I know my kids, I can't get my kids to read a book, read a book, that type of thing. But how much a part of that was what was reading in your childhood?
Well, I've always been a bookworm. My mother was a bookworm, and I would see her up reading constantly, and she would read to us every night. I would run and be the first one there ready with the book that I wanted her to read. LaNesha would throw fits and fall out and hide in the house and do everything in her power not to sit down for reading time. But that stuck with me all through school, college. I carted all my books off with me. I was stealing my mother's books and probably reading things I wasn't supposed to do. And I just told her that last week. She's going to get me one once I make it to Kansas City.
Yes. That was classic. That was amazing. I was like,
but she introduced me to a lot of books in different genres and a lot of different authors. So that has always stayed with me. I kind of fell away from it when the kids were born, because who has time to read with infants? And my kids are 18 months apart, so there was no grabbing any type of book. But now that they're older, I'm finding that I have more time to read and catch up on even some of the books that came out during that period. I'm constantly just reading, trying to catch up. And that one came over to the dark side a little later. But now she carries like 3 or 4 books on her person, so she's catching up.
So as a kid, LaNae used to make us check out books. I kid you not. Our 2 male cousins call her the librarian, because there are books that we had to sign her name. She stamped it and told us when the return date was for her books. Like, this was instilled in her from jump. Like me, I'm like, give me an Archie comic book. I'm good. I don't want to read out loud. It just took me a while. It took me probably till college to come over to the dark side and start reading. So, yeah, but she has had it her entire life. So,
see, there's the influence of Big Sister once again.
Yeah,
it was a lot of work.
Yeah, but think about this, LaNae. Could you ever? I mean, clearly, to me, if someone were to have said, "Hey, one day when LaNae grows up, she's going to own a bookstore," it sounds like people would have been like, "Well, yeah, but she's the librarian. This is what she does."
right.
But if they were to say, LaNesha is going to own a bookstore, they would have said what?
They would have said, "You mean the wine part?"
But that enables me to segue real beautifully here. and the website is Bliss Books and Wine, that this has turned into a thing of bliss, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, from the outside looking in, you have this, later in life, and you both are young and have a long ways to go, but here suddenly you have pursued some form of this dream. You get to work together. You are connected now by this business beyond just being sisters, even though you're so many miles apart, and combine these loves that you have. And so, I wonder about that a little bit, LaNae, how blissful this is amidst all the chaos to be able to have a business with your sister.
No, it's a lot of fun. I talk to her, of course, now even more than I did before. And we just laugh and joke over everything. I haven't had to cuss her out or anything, yet, but I always reserve the right to pull the big sister card and chew her out. But
I can tell through text message when the big sister card is coming out. Like I can hear it through text, and I'm just like, oh, like the sister card coming.
I try not to, but my personality. But it's just fun to build something together, and hopefully it'll be around for my kids and my niece and nephew, and then just hopefully future generations, they can just keep it going. It's good to have a family business, just to extend the love outside of just our group, but share that with everyone else.
Correct.
LaNesha, what was this past year like trying to run and own now a family business that was at least initially going to be involving people being a part of an in-person community? And how have you been able to pivot?
The pivot was a big deal. And so we were doing pop-ups prior to the pandemic hitting. We had 3 pop-ups beforehand, and the vibe was just amazing. We just had people coming in and authors coming and speaking, and wine was flowing, and everybody was just kind of hanging out and just vibing, and then screeching halt. And it was just like, now what? Luckily, LaNae was in the process of making our website. And so she was already in the process of transitioning on, to the internet. And so we were just kind of like, we have to push everything online. And so we just had to sit down and talk and figure out how to pivot. Kira is very big on pivoting. She is the head of EBB. And I took that business basic class before I took a business class with the Porterhouse. And so she had released a Facebook clip, and this was right in the middle of it, or in the beginning. And she was talking about pivoting, like not stopping, not giving up, but pivoting. How can you pivot? And I was just like, and it just spoke to me. And so then I was talking to LaNae, and I was just like, well, this isn't over. Our dreams isn't over. We just have to figure out how to pivot it. And so we just put everything that we could into the online community, how we can still gather people online, how we can still reach people online, how we can still promote our authors and these books online. And it's just been a blessing, really. I hate to say that a pandemic has been a blessing, but it has been a huge blessing for us in our business of now being able to reach everyone. Instead of just locally here in Kansas City, we're reaching everyone in every state, and how our community has grown since then. So
I agree with that so much that, and I think we all always have to pre-qualify exactly the way you just did, LaNesha, that, I hate to say that it's a blessing, because we also know what this last year has done for everyone. And in the worst cases, and 500,000 cases, in death. But I think that, as is the case with the swing and miss question, I'll give you both in a moment, that you have to learn from these tough moments, and they're not always fun and they're not always easy, but that doesn't mean that you stop. I wanted to, before I ask the next question, just read this little blip from your website, because I love it. It says, read, sip, relax. And then it says, our mission ... altered. Here's the pivot and the change, right? And so it reads, Bliss Books and Wine is an independently owned bookstore for wine enthusiasts and book lovers. Our founding mission was to provide an environment and perfect atmosphere to indulge in fantastic wine, get lost in a great book, or engage in conversations with friends. However, COVID-19 has drastically altered that reality. Currently, we are operating solely in a virtual environment with our online bookstore, author events, and monthly book discussions. We hope to return to personal interactions in 2021 and bring the community gathering spot we all desire and deserve. In the meantime, please continue to read, sip, and relax. No matter the circumstances, you can still find your bliss. And I think that there's a strong message there in the fact that, LaNae, nothing in life ever goes as planned. And I also feel for the businesses that couldn't stay afloat. And that wasn't always giving up. That was didn't have the means to do it. But if you do have the means to do it and you can pivot and change, then you owe it to yourself, to your community, to your clients. And to me, it looks like, LaNae, you guys have taken that ball, so to speak, and run with it.
Yeah, we were lucky. We were very lucky. We were looking for spaces at the beginning of last year and like really looking in to secure that front when COVID hit. So luckily we hadn't signed a lease yet, or we would have been in the same boat as so many other business owners, and being brand new, not having the reach yet or the client base, and then still having bills to pay with no way of bringing in income. So luckily with the pivot and being able to move online, we found our customer base. And like LaNesha said, we were able to branch out and reach people all across the country and sometimes the world. We're getting hits from other countries, which is wonderful. Yeah. But it allowed us to organically build the community, and they're waiting for us to open the storefront almost as much as we are. They're like, let me know, what can I do? When you open, we're there. So it in a time where everyone was apart, it helped bring everyone together. We're all stuck in the same boat. We're all still looking for some type of getaway from the bleakness of the world, and to find people that have our common interests and to indulge in the things that we love. We were stuck at home. People have time to read. People can't go to the bar, so they want to have a glass of wine. They're doing it at home. And they were able to find other people that enjoy the same thing. So we, like I said, our mission was altered a little bit because we couldn't gather in person, but we were still able to bring the community together and share common interests.
And for those that like to drink, they still want to drink wine. Those that love to read, they still want to read. That doesn't change. And so, again, we go about things a little bit differently. I want to get to the baseball-themed questions right now, and they are brought to you by Kissick Construction. Trusted team, reliable partner. Check them out at KissickCo.com. Let me throw the home run question to LaNesha. LaNesha, what's the biggest home run professionally that you could speak of?
Okay, so this is a great story. It's probably going to be the best story of my life. Like I don't see it being any greater than this. So I'm a physical therapist. So I'm at the gym. I'm at the clinic working with patients. At this particular time, I was in the middle of a new evaluation. So it was 101, me and this patient, just really getting to know this person, why I'm seeing them, what's their problem. And so my phone rings. Normally the phone number for Bliss comes to my phone. So I'm in charge of that. So I can answer on any other basis, 75% of the basis. But this time I couldn't because I was in the middle of the conversation. And so I declined it on my watch. I was just like, oh, I can't get that right now. So I'm talking, like, yeah, tell me why it hurts and all this stuff. And then I get a text message and I'm just like, oh, okay, whatever. And so then she texts me again and go, girl, that was Oprah. And I look at my phone and go, Oprah? Loud in the middle of the clinic. The whole clinic just like goes to a screeching halt and goes, Oprah. And I said, Oprah just called my phone. And I was just like going crazy in the middle of the clinic. And everybody's like, go, answer. And so I run outside and I call my sister before, to gather myself, like, what's happening? Tell me exactly what's happening. And so it was one of the editors from Oprah Magazine that wanted to do a feature of Bliss Books and Wine. And she was doing an article for Black independent bookstores. And so she was just going to go state by state and list all the independent bookstores that was in certain states. But she said that she had came across ours and she really liked our concept and our idea. And she wanted to talk to us so she can feature a couple, things about us in there. And so we set that up. And we were talking to her over the phone, and it was great. And we got off the phone, and I cried, and I went to Cinnabon and got a Cinnabon and stuffed my face and cried again, and I was sad. so then the feature came out. That's what we have back here is our little Oprah magazine cover. Ooh. And so it was just amazing. So I feel that is like a home run beyond all home runs. Like Oprah, guys. Oprah.
The home run is over the home run, by the way, I'm leaving you up on the full screen here, LaNesha. The home run is over your left shoulder. The little small single is over your right shoulder.
That's right. That's not a small single. That's great. This is you, Joel.
I'm just saying, in terms of Oprah, let's all be honest here. Oprah is not just a home run. Oprah is like a grand slam, or however you want to put it.
You want to say, yeah.
She's Oprah. I mean,
she's Oprah.
What bigger icon? I always say, if you could just be known by one name, you usually have iconic status, right?
Right.
Oprah. You can list off the names. Madonna. I don't know, anybody that you just know one name.
That's an icon. Yeah, one name, no last name.
Even Michael Jordan, while he was playing, you could just say Michael or MJ, and everybody obviously knew who that was. Okay, let's go with the swing and miss, and we'll throw this one at LaNae. LaNae, how about a swing and a miss, and what did you learn from it?
Swing and a miss, I would say probably our third pop-up that we did around Christmas time. Concept, great space, great ambiance. We had a wonderful author, Cynthia Fells in, but it was the Saturday before Christmas. So timing was off. People were out shopping, doing like last minute shopping, and we didn't get the turnout that we did previously. So it just kind of made me stop and think about timing, making sure, there's enough notice and our audience is there and ready to go. So we just kind of, that was, I think, the only one we actually lost money on. But I'm in consulting, so I always take the lessons learned and try to build upon that to do better. And we would have in March the following year, but didn't plan for the pandemic.
No,
that wasn't on my checklist.
No, it is now, but we all know how that goes. And then the final baseball theme question, either or both of you can answer this one. Small ball, and once again, sitting right over LaNesha's right shoulder. Available, by the way, if I could do this little promo, at blissbooksandwine.com is Small Ball Big Results. And the book is about, it's a great book model, by the way, LaNesha, too. For those that are watching on YouTube, you'll see it. For those that are listening, LaNesha is holding up my book and promoting it. But again, you can get that at blissbooksandwine.com and many, many, many other selections too. But for both of you, what is small ball? What are the little things that add up to the big things? I'll let whichever sister wants to go first go.
I think the little things that add up to big things is all of our posts and mentions. Like when people tag us in all the posts and say, give us shout outs. Hey, I got this book from Bliss Books and Wine. Check them out, and post us to Instagram and Facebook and all the other social media. That is just, for me, that is just as much of an impact for Oprah as all of these other ones. It's just, you guys appreciate us, you guys like us, you recognize us, and you want to work with us, and that means so much. And even if it's just one post, it's one post on Tuesday, it's another post on Friday, those little things add up to something that's really, really, really major. So I appreciate every tag and every post that people do for us.
LaNae, any thoughts?
Just piggybacking off what she said, over Christmas, right before Christmas, we got an email from a gentleman that wanted to do a book and wine combination for his wife. Was it this fall that we did the book fair and we did the wine pairing? So we had 6 different books, And we had 6 wines from Casey Wineworks that were paired with each of the book. And he saw one of the pairings on our website and really wanted to get it for his wife. And he was saying how they have little kids and she just doesn't take any time out for herself. She doesn't read anymore. She just doesn't relax. And he wanted his gift to be the book and wine, bottle of wine, to say, here, honey, my gift to you is, taking time for yourself and relaxing and doing what you enjoy. And just reading the email, I was in tears.
Me too.
And so was LaNesha, and I was like, and I told him, I said, that was me about 5 years ago. I know where she is, and I will make it my mission to bring her out of it in any way possible. I said, we have the monthly book discussions. I said, I can recommend titles for her. If she just wants to call me and chat, I'm up for it because I know what it's like. And just to have someone there that understands and to give hope that you'll get there. The kids will get older and there's time for yourself again. So I just felt like he got the why. He understood what it was that we were trying to bring to the community, and it hit home. Just that little email and the exchange that we had was huge. And then after Christmas, when she opened everything up and took a picture and tagged us on Instagram, and she was like, I can't wait to dive in and get started. That's it.
That's it. That's our why. We literally in tears. It was like, you get it. Yes. Like she needed to find her bliss. It's amazing when people know and understand your why. So
it's to me, it's the key. It's the key to getting in the door.
Yeah.
And it's a very powerful thing. And it's not easy to find, but when you find it, it really truly does open up the whole world. Very powerful stuff. 4 final questions as we round the bases. You don't know what these are. Maybe you have an idea of one of them, because I do ask all of my guests something interesting or unique. And I got one of the more interesting answers back from one of you, and then I got no answer from the other one, which I don't know what that says. But tell me about the wisdom teeth. That's my first question.
So I'm a little bit of a freak of nature. I had to have my wisdom teeth out the summer before my junior year of college. And I'm in there thinking, okay, they're just going to go in, have a consultation. I'll have these yanked out. I'll be ready to head back to school. And so they're looking at the x-rays, and then I see all this commotion, and everyone's gathering and they're holding up, they're calling people over and they're pointing and making faces. And I'm like, what's the deal? And they're like, you have 7 wisdom teeth. I said, but aren't you only supposed to have 4? And they're like, yes, most people only have 4. You have 7. That's why you're in so much pain. And they're like, okay, we're just going to take them all out at once because we don't want you to, keep going through this and being in pain and struggling. So yeah, it was an ordeal. They took them all out at once. I remember waking up during the process and they were still going, and they took me back to sleep. And once they finished, I looked like Professor Plump. My face was just like so swollen. And then I had to turn around and go back to school. It was, yeah.
It was over the Thanksgiving break. So you couldn't even enjoy Thanksgiving food.
Well, I don't even know when it was. Okay. Yeah. It was before I had to go back to school. That much I remember.
Yeah. It was awful.
Playing LaNae in the movie is, of course, Eddie Murphy. At least
the clumps.
The post-surgery clumps look. Wow. Well, I'm at least proud to say that you are the first, I believe, ever guest on Rounding the Bases to have had 7 wisdom teeth. It's possible somebody else did, but I have a feeling maybe not. Okay, now that we've had fun with that one, we'll have fun with this one. Second question. I hear the uh-oh. I'm sure it took me really about a day of having met LaNesha in person and LaNae virtually to try to remember, okay, who is who? You guys have similar names. I still already obviously failed with who is older and who's not. I think I have it down now. So here's my question to you. I won't even ask how oftentimes people get you mixed up by name, because that has to happen a lot. But how would you two describe each other what makes you different? What differentiates each of you when they say, oh, LaNesha and LaNae, besides one's older one, because you guys are both great personalities, big personalities. We'll start with older sister. What makes LaNesha a little bit different, LaNae?
So she's the mini version of me. We do look very similar. My daughter used to get us confused. If she would see us from the back, she wouldn't be able to tell who was who. But she's much shorter than I am.
That's the first thing I thought of. She's going to say I'm short.
Much shorter than I am. So that's one thing. And then she's the extrovert. I'm actually pretty introverted. So she likes to be the life of the party. I'm in the corner off to myself, surveying the crowd.
Those are the two that I was going to say. I was going to say she's an introvert and I'm shorter.
I had LaNesha pegged as the extrovert, and I didn't necessarily realize, LaNae, that you are more introverted, because it certainly doesn't show in a one-on-one conversation like you and I had on a Zoom or in an interview like this. And I suppose we're all a little bit introverted when we get into that bookstore and we want to go off into the corner and just peacefully read our book. That's one of the beautiful things. I would say that's probably something that I need to add into my day every single day, and I don't do it enough. Just shut down, put the phone away for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes,
yes,
and just read. And it's on my to-do list, and sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. All the better, of course, with a glass of wine. Okay, third question, and you already touched on, I wanted to ask you about Oprah, but you already touched on that. So I'll say it more this way. I mean, obviously a huge honor, as big as it gets, to be able to be featured by Oprah. But I think that there's a greater message here too, because there is a story here of family. There is also a story of small business. It is not easy being a small business owner. It is not easy in this day and age to be an independent bookstore owner. That is really difficult. Now you add in two women of color, and I believe that's a bit of why you got the attention that you did, because it's incredibly inspirational and an amazing success story. So what does it mean, LaNae and then LaNesha, to be the owners of an independent bookstore run by two Black women?
There are not a lot, which, as you said, is why we and others have got so much attention. I hope it's inspirational. So I hope there is some little girl, little boy, anyone, an adult that sees they have their dream and they now see that you can have a totally different career and then still go after it, and you can work hard and make your dream come true, no matter what it is. I always, and I tell my children that whatever field you pick, it needs to be something that you love doing. You shouldn't hate going to work. It just does not make for a fun time. You should enjoy doing it. It should wake you up in the morning and you're like, yay, it's time to go sell some books, or it's time to go make some wine, whatever. So I hope that we are an inspiration for people that second time around, second career, you just go and do what you love and hopefully leave a legacy for the future.
Yeah, that's what I would play off of too. Legacy is a big deal. Yes, I want to be inspirational for kids and adults, but I want to be inspirational for my kids. I want them to be able to look and see that I can do whatever it is that I want to do. What I could dream big and I can accomplish that. I can be an entrepreneur. Like, that was never really spoken to us as kids. We were always told, oh, when you grow up, do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a doctor? To work for someone else. It was never, you can own your own business. You can do this. You can do whatever direction that you want to do. And so that's kind of what I want to instill in my kids, is that you can dream big and you can accomplish that. And you just have to have the determination and the effort and the love for it. And so I want to show my kids that they can do that. And of course, I want to show other people as well. But it's really bringing up that legacy for my kids, so they can grow and to do what makes them happy. So
it's an amazing message. And I agree. One that everyone, kids, adults, boys, girls, black, white, whatever your background, interested in books or not. It's a powerful message about the ability to create and go out there and do what you love, and to not have restrictions in doing it. The fact that you two are in the minority of independent bookstore owners is maybe a different discussion, but also to me a source of inspiration, because it is a reminder that anybody can do this, and that there don't have to be limitations. And I think that that's probably a bit why also Oprah featured you guys and others that read that, whether it be parents that want to show it to their kids, that will inspire others. Final question. This one is a little bit, I wouldn't say more lighthearted, but not as heavy. And I'll throw it to each of you and then we'll wrap it up. Give me a book suggestion right now. Not mine, by the way. I've already covered that part. A book suggestion and a glass of wine.
Ooh, I have them both.
All right, LaNesha, then you go first.
Okay, so I am reading, I don't know if you can see it right now. It's called The Gilded Ones. I really want to reach it for it, but I don't want to. It's called The Gilded Ones. The cover is, I have to reach for it. I'm sorry, Joel. It's amazing. I'm glad I decided to put on pants for this.
Yeah, welcome to the virtual world of 2021. All right.
Look at this. This is a beautiful cover, right? It is amazing. I am a young adult fiction person. So Namina Forna is the author. I just butchered that, but I'm so sorry. But it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. And I just really started to read it. So I'm only on chapter like 2. So that's my book selection. I love it. It's great. And then we just did a wine tasting with Jenny Dawn yesterday, and she's the winery based out of Wichita. And I am not a rosé fan. However, her rosé is amazing. It's called Red Caboose, and we just tasted this last night, and it is amazing. So this is my wine selection for right now.
All right. So. Well done. LaNae, how about you?
The rosé that LaNesha said, really good. I'm going to have to order more of those. But I've also been drinking a Pinot Noir from, I think it's Olima. That's been my favorite this year. As far as book recommendation, so my favorite from this past year, and I know people are tired of me saying it, has been Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Life-changing for me. I'm a cheetah. Being bold, being free.
It's a great book.
I highly suggest it to everyone. But I'm also excited to read Cicely Tyson's memoir, Just As I Am. I want to crack that open. It's on my shelf, and I'm not going to reach for it. But it's a beautiful book.
I was like, I have on pants, right? I had to look down. Yes, you have on pants.
Which is like the most 2020 or now 2021 thing to think of, that we never had to think about these things before. But again, the message is we can still do this. We can still read. We can still enjoy a glass of wine. For anyone that wants to learn more about Bliss Books and Wine, and they've got the press clippings on there, so you could get to the Oprah article and all that. It's simple, blissbooksandwine.com. The other information, and you can find this on the website, is that if you want to get a hold of them, 816-226-7720, or the email is info@blissbooksandwine.com. Support local, support this family business. And you, I think, both know that I've had you each on my radar for a few months now, or really more than that, wanting to do this. So I'm really glad that it finally came together. And I'm not trying to sell here because we've already talked about it, but I can't wait until whenever the time comes where perhaps I could get there in person and we could do a little author event with awesome. A book and some wine. I know that there'll be many of those coming in the hopefully near future, because it'll be a great time that we're back to a little bit back to normal, at least. A little bit. LaNesha Frazier, La'Nae Robinson, two sisters that are getting it done in their other careers with their families and with Bliss Books and Wine. Ladies, thank you so much for spending time today.
Thank you for having us.
It's a lot of fun. And before we wrap it up, a shout out to my sponsors, Kansas City Audio Visual, Kissa Construction, and Enterprise Bank and Trust. Businesses often come to Enterprise Bank because they demand and frankly are worthy of more than the status quo and need a local partner who understands their business. You can find my book on my website, joelgoldbergmedia.com, but why not just go to Bliss Books and Wine.com? You could get it from they've got it there. It's right on their website. So again, big thanks to LaNae Robinson and LaNesha Frazier. I'm Joel Goldberg. Thanks for checking us out and hope to catch you next time on Rounding the Bases.